Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, rich beyond our wildest dreams, we enter into another $1 million bet. Predicting E3 2018. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We are going to be predicting E3. Probably just the Nintendo part of it, right?
Yeah, presumably.
Yeah, we don't have any predictions that aren't Nintendo related. But that is what this show is about. If you don't want spoilers for what probably isn't going to happen at E3.
Yeah. If you don't want spoilers for our predictions,
Right. Yeah,
don't listen to this episode.
Should we spoil our predictions before we get to them? How many Fire Emblem predictions do you have? Before we get into all of that, we need your help. We would love for you to rate and review to the show. Review to the show? It's because I left out the word subscribe. We'd like you to do all these things on Apple Podcasts. If you... What more do we have to say about that?
It's
It's
a way to get guest weather back.
It's a way to get guest weather back. We're not doing guest weather unless someone tells us what weather to comment on.
And it makes a huge difference in discoverability for the show.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it.
And we appreciate everyone who has done so already.
I also left out words.
We're leaving out words. It's because we're saving all the words for our predictions, right?
And what words they will be.
Yes. What wonderful words. Before even that, though, we are going to record an episode coming up very shortly, beginning of June, about who is the best starter Pokemon. Who or which? How do we refer to Pokemon? Do we call them whats or do we call them whos?
What? We call them what?
We call them whats.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like the Pikachu? That's a what. Do you like the Squirtle? That's a who?
No, they're both whats.
They're both whats.
Because Squirtle is a species, right? Not a. You could name your Squirtle anything.
Well, here's the thing: you can give them nicknames.
Oh, that's a good point.
So maybe they're all named Squirtle.
Aren't each and every one of us just human? And then our parents give us nicknames for which we are known.
I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think legally on my birth certificate it says human. So look, we're a couple of idiots. We don't know about all of the Pokemon starters. So if you have a starter that you would like to represent, that you want us to not leave off our list of best starters, you can email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com.
Or if there's a starter that you really want to knock down a few pegs.
Yeah, you think Cyndaquil is garbage? You need to write into us and tell us why. It's a fiery porcupine. I think it's kind of cool. But we would love to get all of that input. Again, we've really only said starters from the first two generations right now. We're leaving out a ton. We need your input on this. Mark, let's get into our predictions.
Let's do it.
First, though, maybe a little update about some Pokemon on Switch.
Yeah,
rumors.
This is E3 adjacent, maybe.
Well, yes. There were rumors that surfaced during this week that I think inform what our predictions about E3 may be. Right?
Not mine, but I appreciate if it informed yours. I don't think Pokemon is going to be at E3 either way.
So it informed mine in that I also was like, you know what? I'm not going to make any Pokemon predictions.
Gotcha.
I'm going to leave Pokemon off of my prediction slate. But so let's talk a little bit about the rumors that have been surfacing now. If you would like to read a ton about this, I would like to recommend the Polygon article, which is just called Pokemon Switch Rumors Leave Fans Guessing About the Next Game, subtitled, There are a lot of supposed Pokemon Switch hints, but not all of them are believable.
Now, I take slight issue with this
Umbrage
article. Yes, with this article, because the author of it positions these games as like spin-off titles, which, based on my understanding of the rumors, is not really true.
So there is a part of the rumor that suggests. Okay, so the rumor is that they are Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee, right?
Right. So 2 editions of the game: Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
And part of the like gameplay rumor, I'm pulling this from the Polygon article. An anonymous user on 4chan wrote, "Let's Go would be Pokemon Yellow remakes for Switch, sold in both Pikachu and Eevee editions. The games would star Red and Blue, the original trainer and rival from the first generation franchise. As for gameplay, the user said that the Pokemon would both follow the player and offer their help to clear path, surf, and perform other typically moveset-based action."
Well, if it's a remake of Yellow,
right?
How could it be it's not a spin-off. It's a remake. That's like calling like Soul Silver or whatever that.
Right. The other remakes, it's like calling those
spin-offs.
Right.
Yeah, it might have different like
Heart Gold.
That's
there we
it.
Go.
It might have updated mechanics. It might have some. It's probably going to be different in some way. Like the big part of the rumor is that it'll have some sort of cross functionality with like Pokemon Go.
Yes.
And then maybe capturing Pokemon itself is a little bit more like Pokemon Go, but they sound like remakes to me, not spin-offs.
So some of the evidence that people have been pointing to as evidence, I guess, of this is a logo surfaced. It doesn't really look like finished product to me, though.
Right.
It looks like hand drawn. And there has just been among Pokemon social media platforms, there have been a lot of images of the Pikachu and the Eevee paired together on like the official Pokemon Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff.
A lot of, I guess, industry insiders, leakers, rumor mongers,
yes,
that we regularly follow, all seem to be corroborating aspects of this, including like the Pikachu and Eevee editions. So it seems like there's fire here somewhere.
So maybe, but I think it's also, I think even the people who are excited about it are a little bit like they're keeping their distance from it a little bit. Cerebi.net is a Pokemon fan site, and the guy who runs it, whose name is Joe Merrick, when he announced, or when he like started reporting on the stuff for the site, he tweeted, "I am so unbelievably conflicted about whether the information is accurate," and said that he feels sick, but he would feel like he was ignoring his duty in not reporting on it.
Well, Emily Rogers, who is now an indie game developer, but for a long time was like just did a lot of reporting on the industry and had leaked a lot of stuff in the past, or reported on leaks in the past.
Right. Had a lot of that early like Mario Rabbids stuff.
Yeah. She has kind of like said that this is true, or seems to be hinting that this is fairly accurate, and has said that the new Pokemon for Switch should be revealed later this month.
So that's exciting. And I do think that if whatever information we find out about the new Pokemon game, we will find out within the next month, and it won't be at E3.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Is my guess. Okay, so I do hope they have better names than Let's Go. Than Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I also think it's weird to like put the name of a Pokemon in the name of the game. That's never been done before,
sure.
right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Pokemon Yellow was already a remake, or like already like a third version
sure
of Red and Blue. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I feel like with anything Nintendo or Nintendo related, past behavior is not necessarily going to be indicative of what they do in the future.
Sure, the past is not prescriptive anymore because it's a whole new Nintendo now.
And this makes sense. It makes sense to me for a title that includes the words Pokemon and Go in it.
Sure. You think that
Pokemon Go is still
enormously
popular. Yeah, I definitely think there's going to be some sort of cross functionality between the two.
Do you think that the Eevee stands a chance of being anywhere near as popular as the Pikachu version of this game?
I would guess that among hardcore Pokemon fans, like people who have played the game in the past, Eevee will be significantly more popular, but Pikachu may be like I
think he just gets like the gross
masses.
popularity.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like he has the most recognition
of almost any character, period.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's up there with
He is
Mickey
Japan's
Mouse and
mascot.
Mario. Yeah. And like especially for Switch owners, which I think is a different audience than the 3DS owner. Like Pokemon games have been Nintendo handheld games forever. And so I think those people will be very excited about the Eevee. But you know, your buddy that picked up the Switch because Zelda and Super Mario Odyssey, if they're going to tap into a new Pokemon game, they're going to go for the Pikachu.
I also think that with that sort of mentality in mind, that it's like, oh, maybe a lapsed Nintendo player picked up the Switch.
Yeah.
I think returning to Red and Blue, returning to the Kanto region, makes a lot of sense in that way. The same way that like last year Call of Duty returned to World War II, where it's just like, oh right, I maybe haven't played these games for a long time, but I definitely remember Red and Blue.
Right.
So that's
which is
exciting.
also why Pokemon Go was so popular, because it was just the Red and Blue Pokemon for a very long time. And then they started introducing like other generations, and the people who cared about Pokemon cared, but everyone else that was playing it casually, like, first of all, had left the platform at that point.
Yeah, if they had started with Pokemon Go with Generation 7, I don't think
no one would have cared if they would have been the Alola Pokemon. Yeah,
I do think the one thing that people are going to be disappointed at, and this is obviously purely a guess, is I don't think the Switch is whatever the Switch games end up being. I think the graphics are going to be mediocre. I don't think this is going to be like the beautiful, blazing HD Pokemon that people are, or that some people are hoping for.
See, I would guess that it actually would look pretty good. Like the generation we were just talking about, Sun and Moon, look really good on the 3DS, and they like tax that thing's hardware, and they would look so much prettier, just up-res to HD, not on the 3DS screen. So I mean, I do expect it to look probably not. It's not going to look like God of War 4, right? But I think it'll probably look pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
All right, Mark, we've got that out of the way. Is it time for our predictions?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so we have come to the table each with 5 semi-realistic predictions about what we're going to see at E3. Now, let's try to figure out what we mean here, okay?
Okay.
Do we mean just in Nintendo's presentation, or can some of this stuff come out in the Treehouse? Remember last year?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think that's fair. Yes, it had, but that's like during E3, so it's not. It doesn't all have to be in the presentation, in like that 45-minute or an hour long, however it ends up being, like video presentation on the 12th.
Right. So anything that happens that Tuesday, and
sure,
the rest of the week.
Yeah,
maybe?
I would just say like during E3.
During E3. Okay, great. So we have 5 predictions. We did not. We just came up with that specific part of it right now. I have no idea what Mark is predicting. He has no idea what I'm predicting. So we have our 5 real ones and then 1 crazy one. And of course, we will be keeping track when the thing actually happens. And on the line, as per always, is $1 million.
And the rules of that bet are just like Powerball. You have to have every prediction correct,
right, and
including the crazy one.
Yeah,
that's the Powerball.
And then the other,
I don't actually know how the Powerball works.
That's for the purposes of this show. That's how Powerball works. That you have to get them all, and the Powerball, which is the crazy one, get them all right, and then the other person owes you $1 million. $1 million.
Yes,
to be paid by the end of E3.
Yes.
Okay.
No personal checks.
No, yes, cash only. Yeah, cash. US dollars, no Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right. Great. Mark, would you like to go first?
I will. Okay, so my first prediction is that Nintendo is going to feature many games at its E3 booth this year, not one. So the past 2 years,
yes.
Last year it was like Super Mario Odyssey. The entire booth was dedicated to Super Mario Odyssey and demo stations for that game. The year prior, before the Switch was even revealed, it was all Breath of the Wild running on Wii U's.
Yes.
I think this year, even though Smash is going to be a big part of it, I think at their booth they will have playable demos of many different games.
Sure. So there were playable demos of other games both years, not a ton of them, but the booth was, decked out completely for just that game. Does Smash Brothers, is that sort of a weird thing? Because you can be like, oh, there's some Kid Icarus stuff over here and some Fire Emblem stuff over here, but it's all Smash Brothers. Does that complicate things, Mark?
No, because I think we might see some stuff at this E3 that isn't featured in Smash Brothers. Some like franchises.
Interesting. Do you have any predictions as to what this isn't part of the bet, but do you have any predictions as to what those franchises might be that are going to be like featured at the booth that aren't Smash?
I do, but it's part of my crazy prediction.
All right.
So we'll get there eventually.
So my first prediction is also Smash Brothers related, that Super Smash Brothers is, formally revealed with a much smaller roster than people are expecting, with the promise of new content rolling out regularly like Splatoon. In fact, I'm expecting the whole Smash Brothers thing to be Splatoonified, right? So that, we'll have Smash Fests, and
So you mean like the equivalent of like Splatfest?
Like, yes, exactly. And that there will be some sort of like online lobby thing where you will be able to like go and run around as Mario or another character, maybe even like an avatar that you have within the Smash universe, to buy little customizations for the characters, and that the whole thing will be heavily informed by Splatoon, which I think to date is Nintendo's most successful like online massively multiplayer interactive thing. So that's what that's my prediction is small roster, and the whole thing is Splatoonified.
Do you have an idea or like of how Splatfest would work in something like Super Smash Brothers? I guess it would pretty much be the same. Like it wouldn't matter what you would just your avatar.
Yeah.
Or even if you were running around in this Smash Inkopolis type thing, even if you were running around as like Link or whichever character you choose to be, you could still choose a side. Yeah. And then any character you wanted to fight as.
Right.
Would be, yeah.
Or would be like that there's just like one game mode that like everyone gets dumped into for the weekend, and like you pick a side, and you have like a color palette that matches that, and you just represent that side.
That could be cool.
And that every maybe like every week for a while a new character comes out, and there's like a festival around that character coming out. And so like you go into a 4-player match and one person randomly is that new character, and it's just like that's the only way to play as the character for the weekend, or something to really eventize. There are so many little events inside every Smash Brothers, and usually we get those in terms of like character reveal trailers and stuff like that, but Nintendo's been so quiet about what this game is, and everyone's expecting it to come out in September with the online service. It's definitely coming out this year. We are running out of time to like find out what these things are. And so if they just build all of that event stuff and all that hype into the game itself instead of the lead up to the game, I think that's their model.
And I mean, we've already seen them do something very similar with ARMS.
Yep.
So it's not crazy. It's not like, oh no, this is just a Splatoon thing.
Yeah. And I mean, ARMS is obviously a much smaller scale. It's like 3 or 4 characters that came to it. I'm expecting, like half the roster to be left off the like release version.
They could do the same with stages,
Yeah.
like they could introduce new stages. It also just makes sense with this idea of like this is like Nintendo, to my mind, Nintendo's like games as a service type thing, where
Absolutely.
we're just extending, instead of you buying Smash Brothers and then getting your fill in the first couple of weeks and then having it drop off, if we slowly introduce new characters, new modes, new stages, then it's just a way to keep people coming back.
I also think that, and this isn't part of a prediction, but that the virtual console may be dead, that they will bring back classic games and time them to the release of new Smash characters.
That'd be awesome.
So like Simon Belmont's showing up in Smash Brothers. Here are Castlevania's 1, 2, 3, and Super now available on Switch. Like, I don't know how that's not perfect, right? Like, it would be so much fun to play as Simon Belmont. You'd be like, oh, he's so cool, I gotta get these games. And then you're buying Castlevania 3 for the third time.
That sounds great. Okay, so my next prediction is that we're going to see a new Zelda.
Oh!
But that it's going to be on 3DS using the Link Between Worlds engine.
Okay, that's interesting.
Now,
are you dissuaded at all or discouraged at all by the fact that the presentation is stated to be just Switch games?
Treehouse Live.
I understand.
I think
Yep.
I think this is going to be, it could potentially be a Samus Returns type situation.
Sure. That in the.
Oh wait, no, that was revealed in the.
No, it wasn't. It was.
No, wasn't it Metroid 4 and Samus Returns?
We didn't find out about Samus Returns until
Treehouse
until
Live.
the Treehouse after.
Okay,
yeah.
so then yes, I do think it'll be. I think it'll be a Treehouse Live type reveal.
Wow. Well, that's pretty crazy, Mark. That is pretty crazy.
Now, my heart, of course, in my heart, I want it to be for Switch.
Right.
But we've talked about before. I think this is one of those 3DS titles that.
Yeah. There is one more. There is at least one more 3DS game that's going to come out that we're all going to go, what the? Why do I have to get my 3DS out again? There will be one more.
And I guess they've used the Link Between Worlds engine for like Triforce Heroes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it was just like a one and done, but
you think there's more there?
It just makes sense to me.
But Triforce Heroes is already like a sequel, or not Triforce Heroes, sorry. Link Between Worlds is already like a sequel to Link to the Past. Do you think it's like that same world, or
no? I just think it's like running on that engine.
Sure.
So it'll still be that like isometric.
Sure. Is this possibly the remake of Link's Awakening?
Oh, yeah. Actually, maybe it is. Maybe it is the remake of Link's Awakening.
That would be great. I would not feel bad about opening up my 3DS to play that.
I guess I wouldn't. I mean, anytime something doesn't come to Switch ever on, like from any publisher,
we're talking
it
about
hurts
anything,
a little bit.
Any video game, any non-video game. If Mark has to eat pancakes not on his Switch, he's not happy about it.
It hurts a little bit.
That's a good prediction. My next prediction, number 2, is that a Mario Golf game is announced, riding on the highs of both Mario Tennis Aces and Golf Story. It'll have some kind of adventure mode in it, and the subtitle for it will be like Mario Golf Birdie or something that starts with a B, and that's going to be the pattern for the Mario sports games as they come out, because Aces is a big red A, Golf a big B, and then like Strikers will be something C, and so that's my prediction.
Do you think this is not part of the $1 million bet, but do you think it'll come out this year?
No, I think that'll come out next. And I understand that the presentation is supposed
but they
to be
love telling us that, and then like
yes.
dropping, like a Metroid
Prime 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't necessarily think it'll be this year, but I think they want to like drop the seeds of that Mario sports games can be good and can be something that we're excited about, and they like have a new branding for them with this like big alphabet thing.
Okay, my third prediction is that New Super Mario Brothers U is getting like a release on Switch.
New Super Mario Brothers U. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like that's the last big Wii U title that didn't really get the audience that it deserves, or like could have, if nothing else.
Sure.
Because it was on the Wii U, and we have seen pretty much every Wii U to Switch remaster be more successful than the Wii U version sales-wise. It seems like from everything we've seen, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is continuing that trend. Like, it's basically a new game to most people, and everybody loves 2D Mario.
Okay, so
I think it's going to come to Switch.
I think that's maybe a pretty safe bet. I'm going to throw in my third prediction here because it is remarkably similar. Super Mario 3D World comes out, has some kind of appearance, either as a port of the Wii U game, or they make a sequel to it or something. And they'll in the presentation they will pivot from Captain Toad to 3D World, either a port or a proper sequel to it. So I think those are like two big Nintendo Mario games that right now are trapped on the Wii U that not everyone got to play and that everyone would love on Switch. So I think either of these are maybe just as likely.
Yeah. So 3D World to me seems to muddy the waters a little bit. I feel like
tell me why.
I feel like you have, if you bring if you bring New Super Mario Brothers U or any New Super Mario Brothers game to the Switch, then you're like, here's 2D Mario, like classic side-scrolling Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And then we already have Odyssey, which is like a new form of Mario, but also a return to like N64 era Super Mario Sunshine. And then 3D World is its own cool thing, but it's its own thing that you're like, where does this fit in? Where my lizard brain can't handle this. I'm going crazy.
I just want to sun on a rock and eat flies.
So that's why I think it's less likely that 3D World will come.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I feel like it doesn't fit neatly into the Mario paradigm.
Sure. What do you think about new Super Mario All-Stars? A collection of
the Wii version. Would it include like the DS ones?
All four. Let's get them all in there. I mean, maybe it just ends up being New Super Mario Brothers Wii, Wii U, and Luigi U.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me.
Yeah,
that might be a good way to. But honestly, I think if you're Nintendo, you're looking at how like Pokken Tournament has sold, and you're like, oh, can we? Was Pokken Tournament at full price? But basically, like, can we get away with selling New Super Mario Brothers U for $60? And the answer might be we can.
Maybe you can.
So why would we why bundle in the other ones?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. The version of New Super Mario Brothers U that I have has Luigi U packed into it. So I would hope that if they did that, they would at least include the Luigi U stuff.
Again, this is we played through New Super Mario Brothers U, liked it, enjoyed it. Would I rather have in this instance, would I rather have a completely new 2D side-scrolling Mario?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Oh, I mean, I think for both of our predictions, I think we would rather have like new Super Mario Brothers Switch or Super Mario 3D World 2. 60 World? I don't know. 4D World? I don't know how the math works on that. But yeah, just as far as like ports are concerned, and I think that any ports that we don't hear about at E3, that we're done.
Oh, you think so?
I think we're a year and a half into the system's life cycle. That we gotta be done with Wii U ports at some point.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think. Did at E3 last year, did we basically know Nintendo's lineup for the rest of the year? Were there any other crazy? I mean, I know we didn't know about third-party titles like Doom,
right,
or
LA
Wolfenstein
Noir
until later. But as far as Nintendo first party went, I think there wasn't any.
Yeah, I mean, because that's when we got like a date for Mario Odyssey, right? And I think we knew about everything at that point because like Fire Emblem Heroes was around that same time, or not Heroes, Warriors, and like Xenoblade. So I think that was I think that marched us through the end of the year.
So I think I agree with you then. I think that if we don't hear about a port, it seems less likely to me that 2019 will see a lot of Wii U ports.
Yeah, although we are seeing in 2019 a DS game ported to the 3DS. So what do we know? All right, Mark, what do you got next?
Oh, I think we're finally going to hear about Pikmin 4.
Hey, this is my fifth prediction. So tell me what you have for Pikmin 4.
I don't really have. I mean, I think co-op is going to be a big part of it.
Oh, interesting.
I think you're going to have like same screen co-op. I think it falls into Nintendo's, like play together, play anywhere.
Yeah.
Kind of like mantra that they have going for the Switch. And that's pretty much what I'm expecting to see. Maybe a Lady Olimar? That already exists, right?
It does already exist. Brittany is her name. that's not Olimar. It's the other one calling for her. Brittany. My prediction says Pikmin 4. It's just another Pikmin game. Like I'm not expecting it to be totally different from the previous entries. I think Pikmin is sort of a smaller, a smaller game in the Nintendo canon. And they just need to put the game out on Switch for people to see it and love it and be like, Pikmin, what a great game.
Yeah, I feel like, I haven't played Pikmin 3 that was on the Wii U.
Yeah, Pikmin 3 is the only one I've played.
And it seems that's one that I guess you could do a Switch port of that because a fraction of a fraction played Pikmin 3 on the Wii U.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that franchise has the cultural cash to get away with it.
Yeah, is it bigger in Japan?
No, I think it's a like middle of the road franchise worldwide.
Sure. I mean, the sci-fi stuff tends to play bigger outside of Japan. Like Metroid is not a big title. It's not really a big title anywhere, I guess. But it is more popular in the States than it is in Japan.
Yeah, I think the Metroid games, or at least like the first two, have all sold respectably.
Yeah.
But like I think the first one sold over 1 million units, and it was player's choice on like the GameCube.
Yeah.
But I don't think it like pushed much more than that.
Yeah. So that's it's and also we have been hearing for years now, right, that Pikmin 4 is in the works. So that's got to come out at some point.
Did that Hey Pikmin game did that come out?
Oh yeah, it came out and was reviewed poorly.
Okay,
did you remember? Did you play the demo of it because there was a demo on the 3DS?
No, I didn't play the demo.
It was it gave you the option to play through 3 different levels, like an easy one, a medium one, and a hard one, and they were all super easy. The game essentially amounts to moving Olimar back and forth and then just like tapping on things on the screen for him to throw Pikmin at. And it just, without the like 3D and like exploration elements of it, the game is just like, do this, do this, do this. It's like doing chores.
That sounds awful. I really forgot that game came out.
All right, so we are now down to our final predictions. Mark's number 5 and my number 4. Because the Pikmin was also mine. So Mark?
Oh, most multi-platform. So this is just speaking at E3 in general.
Oh, okay, a blanket statement.
The marquee third-party titles are not going to be released on Switch.
Sure. So you're saying at like Bethesda's conference?
Yeah, I don't think think like anything like. Obviously, we know like Rage 2 not coming to Switch.
Right. Red Dead Redemption 2 not coming to Switch.
Like any of like those big
new Assassin's Creed not coming to Switch.
Right.
Do you think we will see like, and this doesn't have to be part of your prediction, but like big marquee style games from those kind of publishers coming out on Switch that are just like designed for it specifically?
I don't. I feel like the through no fault of their own.
Right? No fault of their own.
No fault of their own.
Mark, I love that.
That like the Switch's success has come a little bit too late for third parties, for like the big third party developers to bring their marquee games to it.
Yeah.
And that financially they don't need to because the PS4 is so huge worldwide. It's
78 million sold.
Yeah, it's and like plus the Xbox One, it's the reason why Monster Hunter World doesn't need to be on Switch to be successful.
Right.
That game can sell enormously, and that is true on the two on the Microsoft and Sony consoles alone. And I think that's true of any big title that a third party wants to make. And from like a technology perspective, none of those proprietary third party engines have been created with the Switch in mind. And so it doesn't I think it does. I think what we will see going forward with the Switch is a more third party like Japan support. Right?
Sure.
Where like we'll see PS4 and Switch titles that are releasing at the same time. And I think we will see what Square Enix has said they're going to do, which is
Bandai Namco, and
right,
Capcom,
which is this like idea of almost like middle tier titles, that maybe would have been on handhelds in the past, but can find a home on the Switch. So I think that'll be disappointing for people who are hoping that like whatever Bethesda's next game is going to be,
or like whatever Rocksteady is working on,
right?
Or like the new Mortal Kombat game, or whatever, any of that like really high profile stuff. I think you're right,
and not that they can't come eventually, like Wolfenstein has. I just don't think they're going to be like coming out at the same time as the other platforms. I think no game has been that is being announced at E3 2018 will have had the time to make a Switch port, and then in the future you will have people making PS5 and whatever the next Xbox game is called, and so the Switch doesn't necessarily fit in there either.
Yeah, how far away do you think we are from that?
I think
PlayStation has said that they are not announcing new hardware at their conference.
I think
this year.
PlayStation 5 comes next year. I think
end of next year.
I think
November
we see the end of next year. I don't know what Xbox's I don't know what Xbox's deal is.
Sure,
I mean, not that I know what PlayStation's deal is.
Look, we know what everyone's deal is.
I have less of a guess what Xbox is going to do.
Yeah, me too. That's a good prediction. My final prediction, which I don't think is actually a good prediction. Actually, I think your prediction right there is probably the only one that's going to be true. But my final prediction is Mario Party Switch is announced, and it actually looks cool. It is designed for a modern grown-up party, which means drop-in, drop-out gameplay, fast load times, fun mini games, and stuff like that. Mario Party Switch, a Mario Party game that we would actually want to play. Partially because I think they took a stab at like a party game that you would want to play at a party in 1-2 Switch, but it's just that game demands too much of your attention as you're playing it. That like you have to listen for a lot of cues and like feel like you had to really hold that thing carefully and be like, how many ice cubes do I feel? It's also not
especially fast paced.
No,
which I want in a party game where it's just like, let's just get into those mini games and like, like have fun and pass the controllers around. And 1-2 Switch doesn't really accommodate that.
Right. And I think that the Switch is maybe like the perfect platform for a Mario Party style game. And so like just make it Mario Party, right?
Yeah. That'd be great. This is before we get to our really crazy predictions. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm assuming we'll hear about that neither of us mentioned, really, like Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
That is presumably coming out this year. There's a Yoshi game that's coming out this year. These were not mentioned, but I would love to see another Rhythm Heaven.
Sure. I mean, you know me, I always want to see a new Star Tropics.
Yeah, a new Star Tropics, we didn't mention like the Retro's rumored like Star Fox project.
Right. All of these games could be coming out this year, and Pokemon too. So like there are a ton of high profile things that you and I have not
I know
I'm
really trying not to get like hyped for E3. Last year I went in with, I feel like, not low expectations, but just I was neutral. Yeah. And so I thought E3 was awesome.
It was an exciting presentation last year.
I'm really like, I can feel myself getting revved up.
I know, me too.
And because it feels like for the first time in many years for Nintendo fans, the pieces are actually in place for it to be like, for a lot to happen.
Yeah. And, the beginning part of this year has been pretty quiet as far as Nintendo, like big Nintendo releases have been concerned.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
And so like, I feel like the back half of the year here has to be stacked. Because last year was so good for Nintendo, for big Nintendo first party games. There were a ton of them. And many of them were just amazing, right? Some of the best games, and the best versions of the best franchises that, ever made. And so I think they need to have, some stuff in the canon for this year. And that's, I'm trying not to get hyped about it, but like I am.
Well, even of the stuff Smash is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Right. So we know that that's coming this year. Pokemon seems like it's coming this year. Like the big titles are there.
Yeah.
But they're expecting to sell more Switches and more software this year than they sold last year.
Yeah.
So yes, it does feel like something's got to be in the canon.
Yeah. So, something big, and we've mentioned so many big things, and there'll probably still be something on there that surprises us. Mark, speaking of surprises, are you ready for our big, crazy predictions?
I am.
Would you like me to go first on this, or would you like to go first?
I've been going first. I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay.
Mine is also not that. I don't know if mine like counts as insane.
Emboldened by the excitement for Octopath Traveler, Square Enix and Nintendo jointly announce Super Mario RPG 2.
I would love it.
And Geno and Mallow coming to Smash.
I would love it. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, and I'm not talking a Mario and Luigi game. I'm not talking a Paper Mario game, even though I think either of those are possible, especially Paper Mario. We're going to see another Paper Mario game in like a year probably. But but a Super Mario RPG 2.
Is it a direct sequel?
Yes. In the Mushroom Kingdom with those same characters.
Wow. That'd be awesome. Here is my prediction.
Yes.
Nintendo announced a 3DS remake of Luigi's Mansion that we learned is being made by Grezzo.
Yes.
And everybody's reaction to this was, what? Why?
Yeah.
And why is Next Level Games not working on it if they made Dark of the Moon? Well, I will tell you.
What is Next Level Games up to, Mark?
A new Luigi's Mansion game for Switch.
Oh my God. Is it Labo compatible and you can build the vacuum cleaner, the Poltergust, out of cardboard?
Is this part of my $1 million bet?
No.
Then absolutely. Yeah, I think the reason that game is coming is because they're priming the pump for a new Luigi's Mansion game from Next Level Games coming in 2019.
That's interesting, especially because I feel like the Luigi's Mansion franchise, there are only 2 games, is not one, like, I think people like it, but I don't know. I think if you talk to someone who didn't play games, they would have no idea that it existed, right?
Yeah, that's why I think you have Next Level Games working on it.
Yeah,
a good developer, but that it's not going to like break the bank.
Yeah, I suppose it is not unlike Pikmin in that regard. That like the people who like it, and the people who don't like it don't know about it.
Yeah, and I mean, Kirby is a franchise that it's it hits a triple every year.
Sure.
It sells well every year, but it is never like the top selling game.
Right, but it reliably does sell, and
and I think you need those.
Yeah,
you need those franchises.
Okay, Mark, we came up with a bunch of great predictions. All of them are going to happen.
It's going to be a great E3.
It's going to be. I would love to hear everyone else's crazy predictions. So if you could email those to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And hey, if you can throw down 5, and they've got to be like real risky predictions, and one crazy one, and you get all 6 of them correct, then you are also in the running for $1 million.
Absolutely. Maybe if we get enough of them, it'd be fun to do another episode that's talking about other people's E3 predictions.
That would be fun, Mark. Even if we don't have enough for that, I would like to just continue to read them on subsequent episodes.
Absolutely, for sure.
All right, let's close out our discussion here. Did I say where people could send their lists, their predictions?
But let's say it again.
Okay, well, you can send that to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. That's our email address, and just one of many ways that you can get in touch with us. You can tweet at us. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell. The show is at NinCart Society. We're on Facebook. The Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. You can contact us in any of those places. If you like the episode, please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate it tremendously when you do. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thanks for listening.
Campfire.